Consider this, a program of issues and information behind today's news.
Hi everyone, I'm Kathy Wyatt. Welcome to this week's edition of Consider This. Our topic, Bethelem House. Joining us to talk more about it are Mary Crosby, Executive Director, Gina Tomes, Family Life Director, and Rachel. Rachel is a former resident and mother of two. Thank you all so much for being here. Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Mary, let's start with you. How do you explain Bethelem House to people?
We explain Bethelem House as a home, not a shelter, where women who are experiencing crisis can go and find a place of peace while they are preparing for the birth of their baby.
Wow, okay. And Gina, you've been there since day one.
I have.
Right? So you're our historian. Tell us a little bit about the history.
You know, back in about 2003, a group of individuals got together and wanted to provide a concrete response, a real-life action needed for women who were considering an abortion. And this group of pro-life individuals got together and said, we want to transition this convent into a home and make it a place where these women can come, can have their pregnancy in peace, and really prepare for the next step of their life.
Wow. And Gina, who are these women?
That is a great question. Sometimes people assume or to think that they're younger women, and we do serve a variety of younger women. Our policy is that you have to be 19 to live at Bethelem House because 19 is the legal age in Nebraska. So it's of making decisions, signing a lease, purchasing an automobile. You have to be 19 in the state of Nebraska to be able to do those things. So to live at Bethelem House, you have to be 19 years of age. We have made an exception for a person or two if they are ready for our program, but typically it's over the age of 19. And honestly, the average age is in the late 20s to early 30s at Bethelem House. I think that our program and what we offer is a home and a family to these women who find their way to us, come from a journey of chaotic lifestyles, maybe reckless drug use, maybe themselves have never been parented responsibly and have really lost their way throughout their life and never felt like they had the hope or the help really to take that next step in life. So when they find out they're pregnant, they're in a crisis, they find their way to us, and then we open our doors and really provide an overwhelming love and support system to them as they live with us throughout their pregnancy and up to 15 to 20 weeks after.
So Gina, I have to ask, since you've been there since day one, how did you find your way to Bethelem House?
Oh my goodness, that's a great question. Before Bethelem House, I worked for the Sisters of Mercy at a company called Mercy Housing. And I worked with a lot of families that were living in affordable housing. And you know, somebody who's worked in the human services field my entire life, I just absolutely feel blessed. I feel privileged to be able to serve these families who are at a position in their life that they're actually open and ready to be introduced to some new educational opportunities and to some concrete responses to maybe wean themselves off government assistance and provide a life for themselves that God has intended through faith. So at Bethelem House, I started out as a volunteer and was really in the process of helping getting the building ready to be opened. And then once it opened, there was a really big awareness that it really needed to be a lot more structured. It needed to be created so that the women had a concrete response to really figuring out their next step. And that's done very thoughtfully, very thoroughly, and through professionalism. So we really figured out early in this stage when we opened that it needed to be professionally developed, and I was asked to join the team at that point.
Okay. And it really wasn't we just want to help women have a baby, but really to create a life and to create a life that's worth looking forward to. And so we have not only our Family Life program, but our aftercare program. And so women, when they transition out of Bethelem House and hopefully into their own permanent affordable housing, that they are really on a path to self-sufficiency and to contributing to the community. So launching their lives in the upward path of community spirit and growth.
Wow, and Rachel, you are one of those ladies who are on your way, right? But before we talk about what you're doing now, can you take us back and tell us maybe how you were introduced to this entire realm, going back maybe a little bit further to where you came from? Paint a picture.
Sure. I found Bethelem House a year ago, almost exactly, and it was through my church, but in previous years before that, I'm 26 years old. I graduated high school in 2006, and I went to college like everybody else in my grade, but I had already had a few years of drug use. I mean, not to an extreme that I've lost a job or couldn't, go to school yet, but it turned around to be that way. I was in school for about a semester, dropped out, came home, still was using on and off, and just because I knew what I was supposed to be doing, but I didn't really have the family support and guidance of structure of what I knew I needed to be doing, and so there wasn't like a clear-cut path. I was just trying to do what thought I was supposed to do. And then when I was 20, I was pregnant with my first daughter, and oh, how I wish I could have found the Bethelem House when I was 20 and was pregnant with my first child. I had my first child, and I tried to go back to college again. It lasted about a year, and then I ended up withdrawing. And I had never really done any drug treatment or anything like that for what the issues I had before I had my baby. So it ended up coming back out in my story, or what I've experienced. And so I went through some deals with CPS when my daughter was about a year old, and it was through my family's involvement. I mean, it's not like I don't know. I was doing what was said, so it was in her best interest. And so I ended up winning her back about a year later, and I had been to treatment now this time and through a halfway house and a program, and it was nothing like Bethelem House. But so then I came back about a year later, and some stuff happened with me and my daughter's dad, and I ended up doing a guardianship deal with her grandparents because I didn't want my lifestyle to affect or ruin my child. Like as a mother, that was the best thing I could do in her interest to protect her and still be her mother, and I knew she'd be in the same place every day and night that she was born. I mean, we started out with her, so they've been really good to help me with that there. But then I struggled in and out of treatment for the last 3 years. I mean, I had a really good pattern, and when I was doing really well, I'd maintain a job, or in my eyes it was really well, but it wasn't anything like what the last year of being pregnant for the second time, and which I thought was the end of the world at the time, because in my mind, I thought, how could I bring a child into this world when I couldn't provide or parent the first child? I didn't think that was fair to either one of them. I don't know, those are some really hard choices to make. And I actually kind of gave up and ran off. I mean, I had family living in Florida, so that was the choice I made then, and I couldn't do that to my 5-year-old. I'm her mom. I was a part of her life. She knew who I was. I needed to be that, and I didn't even know what that looked like anymore, because it's been a couple of years. And then so when I found out I was pregnant, I did consider abortion, but that's not who I am. That's not what I believe in. Everything I have right now, I have because God's put me on this path. It was through my church that I met the aftercare specialist that works at the Bethelem House. I heard about her through family in Florida, and I mailed her my application, this big, huge, thick envelope with 5 stamps on it. And it was after Christmas time when I came home, and Bethelem House aired a special on KMTV, which I don't know if that was the first time for you guys, but it really felt like a God thing. And I lived there for 2 months. I got a job. I no longer lived off my family for the first time in a long time. I walked to my job. I didn't have transportation. I had nothing, and I just dove in and decided this is what I needed to do, because I'd burned all the other bridges I had from the family support that I did have left, and if you have a repeat cycle, what do you think people are going to expect? Well, these guys, Bethelem House, didn't. They've changed my entire life. I came in there, I got a job. I held a job for 2 months. My water broke at my job. I had nothing prepared. all the necessities that a child takes to be brought into this world was what I feared most in the beginning, besides like the parenting and the tools and the things that they equipped you with mentally and physically and emotionally and spiritually and, you know, in a whole roundabout way, was the baby room, the diapers, the necessities that a child needs, not to mention a home to come home to every night that you're not going to be evicted from, you know, and it's safe and it's protected and there's support. There's all these other women doing the exact same thing. It's not like a medical condition. It's not something that, you know, stops life or is bad, you know what I mean? And you all recover and you all come back, and babies are important and special and necessary, and mine's extremely necessary, both of them. But then Bethelem House opens up this whole new range of, which I didn't understand at the time because you can't have older children there, but I needed that because I didn't know how to balance having my 5-year-old and a newborn in my life at the same time. I didn't know how to do that. But everybody else in the Bethelem House, for the most part, has some type of story or is doing the exact same thing. And so my oldest daughter is definitely an ongoing part of my everyday life now, and that's because of the Bethelem House. I mean, to make all these things work. And I'm now a full-time college student. I've held a full-time job for the last year of my life consecutively. For the first time in a long time, I quit my Subway job and got a full-time 40-hour week, better paying telephone interview job for a medical survey company, and which Mary has also worked at. That's a part of the next thing with the Bethelem House is their networking. I love it when they say they're 15 to 20 weeks after your baby is born. That is not, that's their program so that you don't think that, you know, I know, but they guide you. It doesn't matter if you move out right on the date or not. I don't know what that means. That doesn't, I want to come back to Bethelem House all the time because I want to, I need to. It's important to me. It's my whole life, and it's all these other women's life too, but it's, I mean, I don't know, it's just, I've never walked into some place and had somebody see my life story or what I've done and say, okay, you have a college education, you have a driver's license, this is what we need to do from here to make it to the next stop. Okay, so I'm like, look, I got a full-time job, and I'm like, oh, that's great. When are we gonna go back to college? Because that's what you really need. You know, and so then I'm like, oh, I'm in college, and they're like, okay, so then how can we do this next? And I'm like, you know, but like, I've never been challenged like that. No one's ever thought I was capable of that because of what I've showed in the past, and I don't know, I constantly think right now, because I've been in college the last 2 weeks at the College of St. Mary, which a year ago, I don't think that a private Catholic college could have looked at where I stood in the college community with, I mean, I have a decent GPA, I am credible, I am smart, but the history shows withdrawal and F, and then the next semester would be A's, you know, and so, I don't know.
Rachel, let me ask you something, because anytime anybody's on the fence in their lives, you know, regardless of circumstance, we always have two choices, right? We can stay down or we can get up.
Prosper.
And so prior to your introduction to the Bethelem House, when you went to bed every night and got up every morning, what was it that encouraged you to keep getting up, right? So that you were able to reach the door of opportunity that you have just explained to us.
That's the problem. The year, about the entire year before my experience at Bethelem House, I did my exact cycle, like I told you, with a job, and I got an apartment. You know, like I could reach the edge of what you know would maintain or fulfill some people, which is a place to live, and paying your bills and a vehicle or whatever, and being a parent to your children, which I did on like a third of the normal basis of what people do, you know, like, and I thought that was normal, but that's not, you know, and nothing I acquired lasted for very long because I didn't have this kind of support or these people that thought I was capable of these kinds of things, and I didn't get out of bed. When I lost my job and I knew that I was pregnant and I took off to Florida, there was several weeks. It took me almost a month to decide that I needed a job, to come up with enough money to get a plane ticket to go home to see my daughter, because having a baby and not parenting my first child was not going to fix anything. I needed to prove to myself that I could parent and I could do this, and I wasn't going to do it off my family's couch. I couldn't. I needed to prove this to myself before I could prove it to my children, and Bethelem House offers that opportunity.
Wow, let's talk about your kids. a little bit. Tell us what you're comfortable telling us. We do have some photographs, and so we're going to put those up, and you just kind of talk to us, think out loud here in terms of what we're seeing.
Well, that's Riley James and Ruby Jolyn, and they're my whole world. They complete me. I love them so much. I need them so much.
And what about this one?
Oh, that's my Ruby. That is my Ruby, and she's so much different than my first child, but she's so perfect in every way. And sorry, I have a 6-year-old, and from having a child young, I know a lot of mothers that only have one child could relate, and and it's hard to be a parent. It's really hard to be a parent, and so I could never imagine 2, and now. I don't know how things go around without both of them. Like, I love the baby, and everybody loves a baby, and I wish she could be a baby forever because there's just something so magical and innocent and special about her. It's a piece of your heart and soul, but without the older one to remind you how important and how exciting and how wonderful it is to do this as a family. You know what I mean? It's her sister that makes all of this complete. Like, I love watching the 2 of them interact. I don't know, I feel like I'm a better parent because I have Riley in the situation and how it is, because I don't know how the people do it with toddlers. I don't think I could do it with 2 children that close together, but my 2 children complete each other, and they're wonderful.
Something tells me that you could probably
They're both
do it,
happy. They're
Rachel.
extremely happy.
I'm thinking you could probably do just about anything.
Yeah.
Gina, Rachel's just one of how many people that you have empowered? How many women have you empowered at Bethelem House?
We've served close to 200 women, I believe, since we've opened our doors, and a multitude of women that maybe haven't even come into our program that we've given referrals to, or temporary support, or some information in a capacity. But Rachel really did a great job explaining who she was before she came to Bethelem House and who she is today. I just feel blessed, and Mary, I know, agrees with this, that we're able on a daily basis to witness the change that takes place. Whether a woman enters our program with a history of drug use, domestic violence, mental health, whatever it may be, there's something that occurs inside of our doors. And I hope and I pray that we're on the right track. I think we are. It feels like we are. It's the whole functionality of a family. Families in our culture today go through so much crisis, breakdown, instability. Rachel's family is still intact. She's rectified relationships. She's made that right, but that's actually the rare. Most of our women have no contact or have ever had contact with a father. Most of our women have a very unhealthy relationship with a mother, or maybe none at all. And that's impossible for Mary and I to imagine or to say we could understand. So we really diligently do our best to love them with dignity, to love them with respect, and to love them with honesty. And that means dealing with the tough stuff. And we have a team of people now at Bethelem House, as opposed to when we opened up our doors and how much we've grown, that it's just, we see it really come together. And the bottom line is that we function like a family. We have dinners together. We argue about chores together. We have each other's back and say prayers when somebody's interviewing for a job or thinking about applying to school. We're in this together. Good days, bad days, you name it. We pray together. We're together as a family. It's not perfect. We're still growing and we're still learning. But the bottom line is that for the first time, I believe that our group of women feel loved unconditionally, so that when they do leave, they will have other problems. They will hit another bump, but they have the coping skills intact, they have the support system in place, and they know how to find their way. And they know how to find their way back to us for that added guidance.
Briefly, we have a few other photographs of some moms with their kids, and we want to put those up for folks. And if you could just briefly tell us who these people are and maybe where they are today, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This beautiful photo is of Emily and Emelina, and they are just 2 beautiful people. The story that comes to my mind about Emily is that she moved out when she thought she was ready to move. There's a period of time where you're able to live at Bethelem House after the birth of the baby. And she really was anxious to move out. She thought she was ready, and about 20 days later came rushing back and said, I need my time slot back. Can I start over? And so, and again, it's just, when we opened, I thought in my mind, I thought a lot of things. And when I mentioned that we've grown and myself have really learned just to be open and to be of service to these ladies, is I thought that they would be ready to move out. They would be anxious, they would want their own space. That hasn't happened. Moving out has become quite stressful. Again, I think I could best explain it is that they feel so loved, so comfortable in family. Who wants to let go of that? And if I think that my parents put a time limit on that relationship, I wouldn't be here today. So we really, every process or procedure or rule or function that we have, we take that into consideration.
Okay, wonderful. And we have more photos, so we want to put those up too. Introductions.
Absolutely. Paige was actually one of our 19-year-olds, one of our younger residents. And when I see Paige, I see go-getter. Paige was somebody that entered into our program and was anxious to get a job and had job opportunities. And I think that it's hard sometimes serving the younger women just because they're still on a journey of figuring out who they are as a mother and who they are as a woman and really where they should be. But Paige has done very well in our program and has kept in touch, and hope that she's doing great today.
Okay.
And Emily and Emelina are still doing amazing. Emily is a part of what we have as our aftercare program that is set up, which the women come back to Bethelem House every other Monday, and they have a support group, and they have topics, and they are able to really connect with one another, strategize, and work with each other. Nicole and Dominic are amazing. We were talking about them on our ride over here today. One of the exciting things that we're able to do is encourage family behaviors and connecting. Rachel actually works with Nicole, and they actually are very close and are a support system, what I would say, to each other, definitely. Nicole was able to acquire her GED shortly after she moved out of Bethelem House from Metro Tech, is starting college, and I have no doubt Nicole is going to amazing places. She is a beautiful mom. She has other children and other family. Again, the level of care that is needed when they enter into our program cannot be fixed in a year, nor would we expect that. But we do try to encourage the women to communicate with family, to go back and make amends, and to rectify if there's any wrongs, and to be in their children's life if they've had other children, if possible. And Nicole is somebody who's done an amazing job, and I feel blessed to know.
Mary, referral sources.
Referral sources,
Yeah,
and Gina
working?
can pipe in. We have many times word of mouth is, I mean, obviously that's how Rachel came to us, through word of mouth. Department of Health and Human Services, like Gina mentioned, many of the ladies have had other children, and so might have open CPS cases.
Okay.
In the past 2 years, we've actually, 6 women have come to us not parenting 10 of their children, and during their stay at Bethelem House, we were able to reunite them with their children. So there's our 10 children that are being parented by their mothers through Bethelem House. Other would be our crisis pregnancy centers, like EPS or Essential Pregnancy Services or Assure Pregnancy Center, physicians, and other child and family serving organizations. Gina, did I miss any?
No, that's really great. Mary, the first one she hit on, though, I think speaks volumes too, is the foster care system in Nebraska can be very confusing and can be filled with gaps, and we all know that they do their very best. But the fact that we're actually that support system for a mom who has her children in foster care, there's nothing more scary to a parent than that. To not be able to parent your children on a daily basis because of decisions you've made or mistakes that you've had. We give that support to the moms that are in the foster care system. And so the average, I don't have the exact number, but the moms with open CPS cases, by the time they leave, those cases are closed. They're parenting those children. And I don't think that there's anything more beautiful than seeing a mom reunited with her children.
Okay. And funding.
Funding, absolutely.
Funding.
You know, we don't pursue any state or federal funding. We are faith-based. We're Catholic faith-based. We don't ask any of the ladies to become Catholic or to be Catholic when they live at Bethelem House. But we want to be able to open the door to spiritual growth and opportunity. And so we don't pursue any state or federal funding. And so everything is gifted to us by our community. And since we function like a family, we view our community as an extension of our family. And what people experience when they come into our doors is a real family feel and a personal experience. I had a woman come in and say, how do you not take this home with you every day? How is this not personal? I said, Well, it is personal. Everything we do is personal. This is a family to me. Everything we do at Bethelem House is to exemplify what a healthy family and community looks like, feels like, functions like. And so in every level, we are functioning as a family, even our staff. I mean, we love each other, we pray together, like Gina said, we enjoy our days. I mean, we deal with a lot of very difficult stuff, and like Gina said, you know, we have so much compassion for what they've gone through, and we can't even begin to understand, but we can compassionately serve them. And so it's where we're building is what we feel is a culture of life, and a culture where we see people functioning in a healthy way and giving back to their community.
Very cool. We want to show people what this place looks
Yes.
like on the inside,
Yes.
but we have just very little time to do it. So we're just going to
I'll
put up
talk
rooms, and
fast.
you just tell us quickly what
So
these rooms are.
We have a living spaces which are being updated by our community. Everything you see in Bethelem House as you walk through the doors is a gift to Bethelem House. We don't spend any of our monetary donations in making over our environments. People come in as volunteers and gift us in so many capacities. It's our dining room, doubles as our educational space. We have bedrooms, and when Bethelem House first was open, it was actually a Sisters of Mercy convent, and these bedrooms were adopted, and we're actually currently readopting some of those rooms out. And this is our chapel. And again, we have Mass every week, but we don't require the ladies go to it. If they want to come with us and join us, that's great. And again, it's just we know that the Lord has a lot to do with what we're doing. And this is part of our baby boutique. So we have a baby boutique where, as Rachel said, you know, everything is provided for the ladies. And we had a gal who came in one day, and somebody asked her, what do you do when, you know, you're going through a difficult time? And she grabbed the keys and went and sat in that room right there and said, you know, this is where I go when I'm having a tough day, because I'm reminded what I'm doing this all for.
Wow. Yeah. Now, Rachel, what are you doing today? And I understand maybe you're thinking about some ways to give back to Bethelem House. Can you kind of sum all of that up in about a minute for us?
Sure. I am now at the College of St. Mary. My major is applied psychology and human services, and I want to give back and help. There's so many different things that I've came into Bethelem House with the gifts of that I didn't realize were a gift until you see the other ladies around. So there's always ways to give back. And like I found out the first orientation for College of St. Mary that they do a Spirit of Service Day, and I said, well, can I suggest a site? What about Bethelem House? And they said, we already know them. I'm like, all right, I'll be there. Those are my people.
That's
awesome. I got to be there for my people.
We want everybody to know how they can get more information. This has been fantastic. Thank you all for sharing
you
your
for
stories
having
and your
us.
time with us. Let's put the website up so people know where to go.
So
It's Bethelem House Omaha.org. Make sure you put the Omaha.org on there. Celebrating your 10-year anniversary. Congratulations to
Thank
all
you
of you.
so
Thank you
much.
again for being here.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next week.
Consider This is an issues and information program produced by UNO Television. More information can be found at unotv.unomaha.edu. If you'd like to share your comments about this show, call UNO TV at 402-554-2516 during regular business hours, or email us at considerthis@tvmail.unomaha.edu.